Hi, and welcome to the third course here, which is negotiation. Key part of being a sensei of sales is knowing how to negotiate. And this course here is going to uncover the 10 steps to make sure that you become the sensei of sales and actually have the upper hand when negotiating with anyone you're prospecting or pitching a sell to. So let's look at the first part here. I'm going to break it down into 10 steps for you so you can understand. The first part is actually, let's call it definition or define. The key thing when negotiating is to make sure you define the concessions that you're willing to accept. There's no point going into a negotiation and not knowing how much discount can you give. The key thing in this first part here is having an MBA, which is achieving a mutually beneficial agreement. That's the main thing you're trying to do when negotiating. So make sure that you define the concessions. How much discount am I liable to knock off? The next important part, for number 2, I'm just going to put here second. That's to make sure that you understand that you're not here to speak first. Make sure that the prospect or whoever you're selling a product or service to has the ability to do most of the talking. Get all the information from them as we disclosed in the previous course and get that understanding. It's from this point that you're going to have an upper hand when negotiating. And naturally, when you're speaking second, you need to make sure that that person is the decision maker, which I've abbreviated here as DM. The worst thing is spending a long time negotiating, speaking with someone, trying to convince them on the cost or price of the product or service, and they come back and say to you that they're not the decision maker and actually need to go to someone else to close the deal. So do make sure that you're speaking with the decision maker. The fourth part here, I'm going to disclose as range. A lot of the times when you're speaking with a prospect and you're offering, let's say for example, a mobile phone, and they're going to say, right, how much does it cost? You're saying everything sounds great. I really like what you're offering, but can you just tell me how much is this going to cost? The likely thing for some salespersons to do is to try and give a range, like, oh, you're looking about £250 to £300. This is a mistake. By offering a range, the likelihood of the customer picking the high end of the scale that you've offered is very unlikely. If you say between 250 and 300, the most likely they're going to pick is the 250. So try and make sure that you find a definitive number. You know how much your product is. You know it's an amazing cost. Just stick with the number. This product or this service is going to cost you £300. And then you can go into the whole negotiation of knocking off the price, which is the next part I'm going to come on to. Let's call it split. Now, what that means simply is if your product costs £100, it's likely that the person that you're prospecting in the negotiation may try and say they want a 50% discount, or I tell you what, I'll give you £50 for that product. The likely thing for, as a salesperson, is to try and find a middle ground. So you may then come in and say, I'll tell you what, I'll give it to you at £75. What does that mean? From £100, you've already lost 25%. This 25% could encompass your actual profit margin. You have to remember that when selling a product, 75% of it is covering overheads, staff costs, delivery, packaging, marketing, you the salesperson, everyone needs to get paid. Everything has a cost. So don't be too quick to knock off a huge amount of the cost of your product or service. What I would advise is if they've come in at 100, knock off maybe 5% and drop to £95. If you still need to negotiate further, then you can go to 90. But what you're actually doing is you're taking off small incremental amounts and you're not actually splitting the difference. What you're doing is really negotiating. The sixth part for you to understand is be human. So let's just put here B. The thing is in sales, it's very easy to sound robotic. I know you've pitched it 1,000,000 times, you've said it 100 times, you know exactly what the customer is looking for, you think you do. But be human. You know, one of the things in actually negotiating effectively is actually, talking about things that have nothing to do with your product or service. If you can actually get into a tangent conversation with your prospect, that's when you know you're really winning. That's when you know they trust you and they're comfortable. From comfortability comes the most amazing upper hand in negotiating. So actually be human. Don't be a robot. Sometimes when negotiating, the amount of discount or what the customer is asking for is not realistic, it's unreasonable. Remember, you've got a small window to negotiate with. You don't have a lot to give away. So if you feel like, look, you're not getting any edgeway, you're not really having the opportunity to really lock down this customer and win the sale, then what you need to do is get to walking. Very important is to know when to walk away. Sometimes walking away from a negotiation saying, do you know what, I can't go any lower. If you're not going to take it at 90%, then we'll just leave it. It's actually what converts the sale. When they see you walking away, if you've sold the product correctly and you've applied what we've taught in the previous courses, they know that the product that they're getting is perfect for them. You've told them the who, the why, the what, the when. They still don't want it, get to walking, walk away. The next part of negotiating is to be very clear on the terms. Once you've actually denoted what's important, you know, what the product is that you're offering, what the services you're giving, it may be a consultancy where you're saying, right, I'm actually going to be delivering this service to you for 3 months for the cost of £500. What does that consultancy involve? Make sure you're clear and transparent so everyone understands the terms. The next part of actually having the terms is then to put it down into a contract. You've now negotiated, you've got the agreement, they've got the discount, you've listened to them, you spoke second, you know it's the decision maker, you're speaking with the right person, you've not offered a range, you haven't knocked off so much off the cost, you're winning this negotiation. You've actually been human, which is great, you've created that rapport. You may have even had to walk away and they've called you back and said, all right, do you know what? I'm ready to go with this. So you've clearly defined the terms verbally. Now you deliver the contract. Some may call it a service level agreement, but generally speaking, it's called a contract. And this is where you make sure that both of you have acquired a mutually beneficial agreement, where both of you have signed a contract knowing exactly what it is that you're going to achieve. Last but not least, and you might find this funny, money. Don't make it all about the money. Sometimes actually negotiating to win maybe a contract or a sale is going to build something which you want, which is called repeat business. I think the hardest thing is winning a new customer. If you've actually won over a customer, existing customers are the best person to retarget and sell your product to again. By making everything about the money initially, gets rid of that sort of humane feeling, that feeling of family, that feeling where the customer feels happy to come back again and spend the money. What you don't want is the customer to feel as if they're paying for your mortgage, your car note, or the beautiful holiday. You actually need to make the customer feel that it's got nothing to do with the money. I just know you have a problem and I'm providing you with a solution. It's got nothing to do with the money. The money is just there as part of the exchange as we do in business. But really, you needed a good mobile phone to be able to make calls when you're traveling the world, doing your snaps or your Instagram posts with a great camera. And I've got the solution. I've got the perfect product for you. So here it is. Yes, it's going to cost you something, but we're not too concerned about that. The main thing is I'm here to provide you with a solution. By applying these 10 steps, I guarantee you that you'll have an upper hand in negotiation. You won't give away too much and make sure that you're in the right place to make sure the sale is closed in a way that when you walk away, both of you have a mutually beneficial agreement where all parties have won. Thanks for listening. Get to negotiating and look forward to seeing you on the next course.